Have you ever wondered about the history of Godzilla? Not that Godzilla, that Godzilla. The fire-breathing tuner car that ate up streets and competitors alike. Few cars have achieved legendary status quite like the Nissan Skyline GT-R. Dubbed Godzilla by the Australian press in the late 1980s, this Japanese automotive icon went from an ordinary sedan to a track-dominating beast that devours supercars for breakfast. Along the way, it's earned legions of fans, movie cameos thanks Fast and Furious, and cemented its place in car culture. So, strap in as we take a wild ride through the history of the Nissan Skyline GT-R, filled with fast cars, quirky engineering, and the occasional epic drag race. Ready? Let's hit the throttle. I'm Keith, and this is History Wonder. Before we dive into the GT-R saga, we need to talk about its origin story. Think of this as the Skyline's version of an awkward teenage phase. The first Nissan Skyline rolled off the production line in 1957, but brace yourself, it wasn't even made by Nissan. Instead, it was created by a small company called Prince Motor Company. The car wasn't designed to scorch racetracks, it was more of a comfy family sedan, perfect for your daily commute or a scenic drive with the kids. In fact, the early Skyline was so mild-mannered it wouldn't have looked out of place next to a toaster in a catalog. In 1966, Nissan absorbed Prince Motor Company, and with it came the Skyline. The first seeds of performance were planted in the 1960s when engineers decided to tweak the Skyline, giving it a little more juice. Enter the Skyline 2000 GT, which packed a 2.0-liter engine but still wasn't the monster we know today. It was getting there though, like when Clark Kent started noticing he could lift trucks, but before he put on the cape. The real fun began in 1969 with the debut of the first GT-R model, the Skyline 2000 GT-R, also known by its chassis code KPG-C10. This was Nissan's first serious attempt at turning the Skyline into a racing machine. Forget family sedans, this was a car designed to leave competitors in a cloud of dust and a trail of skid marks. The first GT-R had a 2.0-liter inline-six engine that delivered 160 horsepower, a big deal in a time when seatbelts were optional and disc brakes were considered fancy. Nissan took this new beast straight to the racetrack and it dominated. The 2000 GT-R racked up a ridiculous 50 race wins between 1969 and 1971, earning it a reputation as a track weapon. It was like the cool kid in school who showed up in sunglasses, aced every test, and somehow convinced everyone he was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But the GT-R's fame was short-lived. In 1973, as stricter emissions regulations and an oil crisis loomed over the horizon, Nissan put the GT-R badge back in the garage. It would be 16 long years before the world saw another GT-R. 1989 was a turning point in automotive history. Hair metal bands were topping the charts, and the Nissan Skyline GT-R returned to the streets with a vengeance in the form of the R32 GT-R. The R32 is where the Skyline GT-R earned its Godzilla nickname. Why? Because this car was an absolute monster and no one saw it coming. The R32 came packed with Nissan's new RB26 DETT engine, a twin turbocharged inline-six that produced 276 horsepower. Though rumor has it the car actually made closer to 320, but thanks to a gentleman's agreement among Japanese automakers to limit horsepower to 276 to avoid a horsepower war, imagine that, Nissan officially kept the number low. The R32 was also equipped with an advanced all-wheel drive system called ATTESAETS and a trick four-wheel steering setup known as Super HICAS. The result? A car that could handle like it was glued to the track, even around the tightest corners, while still leaving everything else in its dust on the straights. It was a technological marvel, a computer on wheels that made its European and American competitors look like they were still stuck in the Stone Age. In racing, the R32 GT-R didn't just dominate, it obliterated the competition. Nissan took the car to the Japanese Touring Car Championship, JTCC, and between 1989 and 1993 it won every single race it entered. That's not a typo, every single race. The R32 was so fast and so dominant that it was eventually banned from certain racing series because, well, it was making things boring for everyone else. You know you're good when they ask you to stop showing up because you're too much of a buzzkill. In 1995, Nissan followed up with the R33 GT-R, and while it had some big shoes to fill after the R32's track-scorching debut, it was no slouch. The R33 carried over the same RB26 engine, but with refinements that improved reliability and handling. The R33 was heavier than its predecessor, but it also featured better aerodynamics and a more refined all-wheel drive system, making it even faster around a track. One of the R33's biggest claims to fame was that it became the first production car to lap the Nürburgring in under 8 minutes, an impressive feat in the mid-1990s. Imagine the R33 casually jogging past European sports cars around the famed German track as engineers from Porsche and Ferrari furiously scribbled notes muttering, "How did the Japanese figure this out?" However, despite its performance chops, the R33 often gets overshadowed by its siblings. It's like the middle child of the GT-R family, good at everything, but not always the center of attention. Still, the R33 remains a fan favorite for its smoother ride and slightly more refined interior compared to the R32. Enter 1999 and the release of the R34 GT-R, the model that would become synonymous with automotive perfection, and a starring role in the Fast and the Furious franchise didn't hurt either. If you've ever seen Paul Walker behind the wheel of a sleek blue GT-R, that's an R34. This version refined everything great about the previous GT-Rs into a near-perfect package. The R34 was shorter, stiffer, and even more tech-laden than the R33. It retained the same engine but added a 5.8-inch LCD display that showed real-time driving data like boost pressure and G-forces, making it the ultimate car nerd's dream dashboard. It also came with a 6-speed manual gearbox, finally, no more 5-speed, sharper handling, and a body design that looked ready to slice through the wind at warp speed. But what really made the R34 GT-R stand out was its balance. It was a car that could tear up a racetrack, blitz a drag strip, and still be driven comfortably to pick up groceries. This versatility helped solidify its legendary status, as did its limited production numbers and skyrocketing demand. And yes, its on-screen fame certainly helped, but even without the Hollywood glow, the R34 GT-R was already a star in its own right. In 2007, Nissan decided to drop the Skyline name from the GT-R and create a whole new monster. The R35 GT-R was born, and boy, did it make an entrance. No longer tied to the Skyline lineup, the R35 was Nissan's flagship supercar, a vehicle designed to take on the best from Ferrari, Porsche, and Lamborghini, but at a fraction of the cost. Powered by a 3.8-liter twin turbocharged V6, the R35 GT-R makes around 565 horsepower in its standard form and upwards of 600 in special editions. Equipped with an all-wheel drive system that feels like it's reading your mind and a launch control system that sends the car from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds, the R35 redefined what it meant to be a supercar killer. The price, about half of what you'd pay for an Italian exotic, which made the R35 a bargain supercar, a blue-collar hero in the world of high-octane luxury. While some purists lamented the loss of the traditional inline-6 engine and manual gearbox, the R35's raw performance more than made up for it. The R35 isn't just fast, it's absurdly fast. In fact, it's been known to embarrass million-dollar hypercars on the drag strip, earning the R35 its rightful place as Godzilla 2.0. The Nissan Skyline GT-R isn't just a car, it's a cultural phenomenon. What started as a humble family sedan evolved into one of the most feared and respected names in the automotive world. Whether it's dominating racetracks, stealing scenes in Hollywood blockbusters, or serving as a poster on the wall of every aspiring gearhead's bedroom, the GT-R is a testament to what happens when innovation, passion, and a little bit of madness collide in just the right way. Today, the GT-R stands as a symbol of Japanese engineering brilliance. Sure, the Italians may have the flash and the Germans the precision, but when it comes to delivering world-beating performance with an underdog spirit, nothing beats Godzilla. Thanks for watching. What topics in history have you wondered about? Comment below and let us know what videos you would like to see. And be sure to like and subscribe.